You're listening to Underground USA News.
Monday, August 18, 2025. President Donald Trump has announced a bold initiative to eliminate mail-in voting and voting machines, emphasizing the need to restore trust in America's electoral process. Speaking on August 18, 2025, Trump argued that mail-in ballots are prone to fraud and undermine the integrity of elections, vowing to fight like hell to ensure secure voting practices. His memorandum, as reported by conservative outlets, underscores a commitment to safeguarding democracy by prioritizing in-person voting with robust verification measures. Critics, however, argue this move could disenfranchise voters who rely on mail-in options due to accessibility issues, while supporters maintain it's a necessary step to prevent potential irregularities. The proposal has sparked intense debate, with Trump's stance resonating strongly among those who prioritize election security. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has stirred debate by granting clemency to 13 migrants with criminal histories, including Samchith Vatthanavan, a Laotian man convicted of manslaughter in 1990, to prevent their deportation. Hochul defended the decision, emphasizing the individual's remorse and rehabilitation, stating they've paid their debt and should not be deported to unfamiliar countries. Critics, including the Department of Homeland Security, argue this move prioritizes protecting criminals over public safety, especially given Hochul's earlier pledges to cooperate with federal authorities on deporting criminal migrants. The pardons, which do not expunge records but shield recipients from deportation, have raised concerns about consistency in immigration enforcement and public safety priorities. In a significant development for Texas politics, the more than 50 Texas House Democrats who fled to Illinois to block a Republican-led redistricting plan have announced their return to the state capitol, effectively allowing the GOP to advance a new congressional map. This decision comes after a nearly two-week standoff, with Democrats citing strategic reasons, including California's own redistricting moves, for ending their walkout. The return paves the way for Republicans to pass a map that could bolster their electoral prospects in the 2026 midterms, a move critics argue may entrench GOP dominance in the state. While Democrats initially succeeded in delaying the process, their return underscores the challenges of sustaining such protests against a determined Republican majority, backed by Governor Greg Abbott and President Trump's influence. The U.S. State Department, under Secretary Marco Rubio, has revoked over 6,000 student visas in 2025, targeting international students involved in serious criminal activities, including assault, burglary, DUIs, and support for terrorism. This action, part of the Trump administration's stringent immigration policies, aims to ensure national security and uphold the integrity of the student visa program. The majority of revocations stem from legal violations, with approximately 200 to 300 cases linked to terrorism-related activities under the Immigration and Nationality Act. Critics argue the measures may impact free speech, but Rubio defends the policy, emphasizing that visas are a privilege, not a right, and those who break the law or endanger U.S. interests will face consequences. Far-left Democrat U.S. Representative Eric Swalwell of California has ignited a firestorm by vowing to expose the identities of masked ICE agents if Democrats regain control of the House in 2026, raising serious concerns about the safety of law enforcement officers who wear masks to protect themselves from threats by gangs and radical groups like Antifa. Critics argue this move is a dangerous escalation of partisan rhetoric, potentially endangering agents and their families while undermining efforts to secure the border. Swalwell's remarks, which compare masked agents to bank robbers or KGB officers, come as ICE faces a reported 700% surge in assaults, prompting fierce backlash from those who see his comments as reckless and divisive. Supporters, however, claim transparency is needed to ensure accountability in immigration enforcement. This controversy highlights the deepening divide over immigration policy and the risks faced by federal agents in a polarized climate. A federal judge has issued a preliminary injunction blocking the Federal Trade Commission's investigation into Media Matters for America, a progressive media watchdog, arguing it likely violates the group's First Amendment rights. U.S. District Judge Sparkle L. Suknanan, appointed by President Biden, ruled that the FTC's probe, launched in May 2025 to examine alleged improper coordination with advertisers, constitutes retaliation against protected speech. The decision has sparked debate, with critics arguing it shields media matters from accountability, while supporters view it as a defense of free expression against government overreach. The ruling, a setback for the Trump administration's FTC, underscores ongoing tensions between regulatory actions and constitutional protections, leaving the investigation's future uncertain, pending further legal proceedings. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, Republican of Kentucky, led a closed-door deposition with former Attorney General William Barr on August 18, 2025, as part of a bipartisan investigation into Jeffrey Epstein's criminal activities. Barr testified that he found no evidence of President Trump's involvement in Epstein's case, while Comer emphasized the committee's commitment to uncovering the truth behind Epstein's network, with the Justice Department expected to deliver related documents by August 19th. The probe, supported by both Republicans and Democrats, has issued subpoenas to high-profile figures, including Bill and Hillary Clinton, to address lingering questions about Epstein's crimes and the federal government's handling of the case, aiming to inform legislative reforms on sex trafficking laws. In a significant move reflecting the evolving media landscape, Comcast has announced that MSNBC will rebrand as My Source News Opinion World, MS Now, as part of a $7 billion spinoff of its NBC Universal Cable networks, including CNBC, USA Network, and others, into a new publicly traded company named Versant. The rebrand, which includes dropping the iconic NBC Peacock logo, aims to establish a distinct identity for the progressive-leaning network, distancing it from its NBC News roots. This decision follows a sharp decline in MSNBC's ratings post-2024 election, with primetime viewership averaging just over 1 million in the second quarter of 2025, trailing far behind Fox News. The spin-off, led by Mark Lazarus, is part of Comcast's strategy to streamline its portfolio, keeping high-growth assets like NBC and the Peacock streaming service, while offloading cable networks facing cord-cutting challenges. In a significant development, Newsmax has agreed to a $67 million settlement in a defamation lawsuit brought by Dominion Voting Systems, which accused the conservative network of spreading false claims about the 2020 presidential election. The settlement follows allegations that Newsmax knowingly broadcast misinformation, suggesting Dominion's voting machines were rigged to favor Joe Biden over Donald Trump, claims that fueled widespread distrust in the electoral process. This payout comes on the heels of Fox News' $787.5 million settlement with Dominion in 2023, highlighting the legal consequences for media outlets accused of promoting unfounded election fraud narratives. While Newsmax maintains its reporting was fair, the settlement underscores the high stakes of responsible journalism in a polarized climate. Recent investigations into the health food industry reveal a troubling pattern of exaggerated marketing claims that may mislead consumers seeking nutritious options. Reports indicate that numerous brands, including the prominent Maha Foods, have been criticized for labeling products as healthy or natural, while containing high levels of added sugars, artificial additives, or questionable nutritional value. Regulatory bodies and consumer advocacy groups are pushing for stricter oversight to ensure transparency, as these practices undermine public trust and potentially jeopardize health-conscious purchasing decisions. While companies defend their marketing as competitive necessity, the call for accountability grows louder to protect consumers from deceptive labeling. In a unanimous ruling, a Washington state appeals court upheld a $936,000 fine against Stuffy's 2 restaurant for violating a 2020 COVID-19 indoor dining ban imposed by Governor Jay Inslee. The restaurant, operated by Bud and Glenda Dueling Enterprises, faced daily fines of $18,000 for resuming indoor dining to avoid financial ruin, a decision the owners described as a desperate bid to save their 32-year-old business and support their employees. The court rejected claims that the fine was unconstitutionally excessive, citing insufficient evidence of the restaurant's inability to pay, despite tax returns showing losses in 2020. This decision underscores the tension between public health mandates and small business survival, raising questions about the proportionality of punitive measures during the pandemic. as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky prepares for a critical White House meeting with President Trump on August 18, 2025, to discuss potential peace negotiations in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. Russia launched a series of aggressive missile and drone strikes on Ukrainian cities, killing at least 2 children and wounding others. The timing of these attacks, described by Zelensky as cynical, appears designed to undermine the upcoming talks, which follow an inconclusive U.S.-Russia summit in Alaska. The meeting, joined by European leaders, aims to address the war's trajectory, with Trump emphasizing the need for both sides to make concessions to achieve peace, while Zelensky insists on strength to force Russia into a deal. The continued violence underscores the challenges of securing a ceasefire as diplomatic efforts intensify. Hamas, the Palestinian militant group governing Gaza, has firmly rejected Israel's proposal to relocate residents from Gaza City, labeling it a new wave of genocide and displacement. This decision, reported on August 17, 2025, comes as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu pushes to expedite military operations to seize control of Gaza City, which he describes as Hamas' capital of terrorism. The rejection has heightened fears among Gaza residents, with many fleeing south to avoid an anticipated major offensive. Critics argue the plan exacerbates an already dire humanitarian crisis, while Israel maintains its actions are necessary to counter Hamas resistance and secure the region. The stalled ceasefire talks and Hamas' insistence on full Israeli withdrawal before releasing hostages further complicate the path to peace. In a historic shift, Bolivia's recent presidential election has signaled the end of over 20 years of socialist dominance, with preliminary results indicating a runoff between centrist Senator Rodrigo Paz and right-wing former President Jorge Tudo Quiroga. This development reflects growing voter dissatisfaction with the long-standing leftist policies, as both candidates advocate for economic reforms and a departure from the socialist framework that has shaped the nation's governance. The election outcome suggests a desire for pragmatic leadership and a stronger emphasis on free market principles, potentially reshaping Bolivia's political landscape. China's foreign ministry declared its commitment to achieving peaceful reunification with Taiwan, emphasizing significant efforts to this end, as reported on August 18, 2025. This statement follows remarks by President Trump, highlighting Beijing's persistent claim over Taiwan while navigating complex international relations. Despite the preference for a non-military approach, China's military presence around Taiwan has intensified, raising concerns about potential escalation. Taiwan, steadfast in its democratic stance, rebuffs Beijing's overtures with regional stability hanging in the balance as global powers watch closely.
You're listening to Underground USA News.